In this video, I'm going to show you how to fix the lint screen that you think is warped or the one that won't sit flush with the actual housing. And also along the way, if you're having any problems with your dryer not heating well, maybe this will help alleviate that problem as well. We're going to start by unplugging the machine very first. We're going to go around to the back and there's two Phillips head screws that hold the top on. We'll just take those two screws out. And then literally all we're gonna have to do is slide the top back and pick it up off the top of the machine. Next, we're gonna remove the control panel, which is a little tricky because they're on here pretty tight sometimes. These little clips, sometimes they'll break. There's no screws, it just pulls right off. Then we're gonna go ahead and remove the two harnesses. On this particular machine, it's two harnesses, and then we can totally remove the user interface. Now we're going to remove these 4 Phillips screws from the crossbar that hold on the front face. This is just 4 of 6 screws. Then we're going to open up the door. We're going to come down here and see how the lint filter housing doesn't sit flush. That's not because it's warped. You don't need to replace it. We're just going to clean it and fix it. Then we're going to take out these 2 screws that are actually connected to the lint filter housing. Notice how these 2 screws are different than the others, so put them to the side. And we're going to come back up here and see these 2 clips right here. These are actually tension clips that are holding the front face on. So we're gonna get a pair of needle nose pliers or flathead screwdriver and push them down. As you pull the front face back, you'll see this door switch. Pull it out very carefully. Don't cut yourself and don't break it. And then we can take the whole front face off. Now we're gonna remove these 5 screws that hold the crossbar on, the front crossbar. So there's 1 extra screw here. Sometimes it's on there, sometimes it's not. But there's definitely gonna be at least 4. If the other one's applicable, take that one out too. And then we can pull this out of the clips on the sides of the cabinet and just pull it straight out. Actually, there's actually some ties usually that hold the wires on, so just undo those and then you can pull the crossbar straight off. I say usually because if you buy it used, they usually don't put the ties back on the wires. But anyway, we're gonna come down to the bottom of the bulkhead and disconnect the moisture sensor here. All we do here is just simply squeeze the tab and pull it apart. And then we're gonna go back up to the top and take out the drum light. So it just pulls straight off, and then we're gonna go through and undo the ties that hold this wiring harness to the bulkhead, and then we can just drape this over the side of the cabinet. Now we have to remove 5 screws altogether, Phillips head screws again, to actually take off the bulkhead. As you see here, we have 4 on the bulkhead, and then 1 of them that actually holds the lint canister to the blower fan. So just make sure we take all 4 of those off. And then when we go to take them off, there's little clips on the side that they just kind of hang in. And the best thing to do is if you reach inside the drum and push up on it a little bit, you can pull this guy straight out, no hassle. Now we're gonna go in between the drum and the blower motor, and that's where our idler pulley is. We're gonna push it to the left-hand side of the machine, whether this is backwards or not. Push it to the left-hand side, remove the belt from the motor. Now we can use the belt to pick the drum up and pull it straight out. And I always like to take a marker and write the back or the front on it. Just that way we put it back in the right way where the markings are, it's easier. Now we're gonna get to all the lint buildup. This is the blower motor, so usually, a lot of times these things are just packed. And this is the element. This gets 155 degrees. It's supposed to shut off at 155 degrees, but lint is highly combustible. And this is what the inside of a clean dryer looks like. Imagine what yours might look like. And then the rollers get seized up because all the lint and the dust and the hair gets wrapped around the post, and then the rollers can't spin. So anyway, I always like to, no matter what, I always clean it out, take the shop vac, clean all the dust and lint out really good. The whole point of this video is preventative maintenance. So instead of replacing, we're gonna clean and preventative maintenance. So we're gonna take off the triangle clips here off the post, take the wheel off, take the inner triangle clip off, and we're gonna repeat the process on the other roller wheel. It's all the same thing. It's like a skateboarder wheel without bearings because they think that a metal casing on a metal post is going to last longer for some reason. Anyway, all that nasty stuff, that's actually grease, which is good. That's what comes from the factory, but what I use is better, I feel like. So I take a piece of steel wool and I clean all that stuff off, get all the hair, the lint, the dust, everything off. And then I take a rag. We like to wipe it down, make it nice and smooth. Same thing with the rollers. We're gonna clean out the casing. I use some goof off sometimes. It helps to kind of loosen all that stuff up. Just take the steel wool, kind of clean it out a little bit, smooth it down. I didn't have any regular steel wool at the shop, so I had to use a kind of soap on it. It's all the same. Just wipe the stuff off. Don't leave any residue on it. So then we stick the rag through it, kind of clean it off, really good. Now, if you do this yourself, like as in replace the roller assembly, you're gonna pay upwards of $50. It starts at $50. But so this is preventative maintenance. We're gonna keep from having to replace it. So anyway, we're gonna use some silicone, either silicone or graphite. You have to use a dry lube. You cannot use WD-40 or grease, absolutely cannot. We're gonna lube up the post, then we're gonna put on our tri-clip, and then we're gonna go ahead and put our wheel on, give it a good spin to kind of lube up the whole casing and the post. Put our outer tri-clip on, and this roller, sorry, is done. We do the same process to the other side. It didn't come down to our idler pulley. You should really take it off and clean it. I was being absolutely lazy. I'm sorry. So I just lubed it up, give it a good couple spins, and then we're done with that. So now we're going to move to the bulkhead. We're going to do the same exact thing with these two rollers. Same exact thing, same process. They're just on the bulkhead instead of on the inside of the machine. So after we get these back on, now we're going to focus on the lint housing. This is what we were after to start with. So there's 2 outer screws and 2 inner screws. The 2 outer screws are longer, so put them to the side. Remember that. The 2 inner screws, one that holds on the moisture sensor and the one that holds on the middle of the lint screen housing are actually shorter, so put them to the side and remember that. So now we can turn it around to the other side, and there are 3 screws on this side. We have the 2 outer screws, which are again longer, and then we have one in the middle. I'm getting ahead of myself. So we take these 2 outer ones, then we take the one off the middle, and now the lint canister will just drop straight out, and we can take out the housing, the lint screen housing, sorry, and we're gonna just snap it apart. Just pull straight apart, a couple clips. Usually they're way dirtier than this, but we're gonna clean it out. Then this is why your lint screen will not go down inside. See how compacted this lint is? This is what happens. It's not because your lint screen is warped. It's not because the housing is warped. It's just because this lint is stuck in these crevices. Even if it's not jam-packed in there through the whole thing, it's just in these corners, and it's not gonna allow it to sit correctly. So we're just gonna go through, clean this really good. I like to use Lysol because it smells really good, especially when it heats up. Makes the whole dryer smell brand new. Just whatever you like to clean with. Pine Sol works great, but I love the smell of this Lysol. So we're gonna clean it off really good. This one I spray it with the hose. Took some pipe cleaner, clean the inside. I didn't want to bore you to death with that. Then we're gonna clip it back together, just the way it came apart. There's 2 little clips. You really can't mess it up. Slide it back down inside the bulkhead where it goes. You can kind of look and see where the holes line up. And then we're gonna take the 2 longer screws. Again, those go on the outer part of the lint screen housing, and I like to put those in first, and then come back down here and put the short screws in. The one goes in the moisture sensor on the left hand side. The other small screw is the 3rd screw that goes into the actual lint filter housing itself. So after we get those tightened down, we're going to take the bulkhead, turn it upside down. It's just a lot easier to put the lint canister back on. Just make sure you square it up. It's pretty self-explanatory. I'm just kind of narrating at this point. Put the 2 longer screws on the outside, the shorter one in the middle, and you're going to be all back together. I'm trying to run out of words to say here. I'm voiceover in this thing. But this is how clean it is. Yeah, it looks good. Huh? All right, if you made it this far, just know this is my first actual full-length YouTube video. So now we're going to put everything back together the way it was. I'm gonna be make things a lot more fun here in the future. I didn't know I do TikToks and they're short. I don't know how to do these long videos. But anyway, make sure when you put the drum back in, you set it on the rollers. All right, look inside and make sure that the felt is on correctly and that it spins correctly. Give it a little spin. Then we're gonna make sure that we don't have any tears in the belt. Make sure we don't have to replace the belt. We should have done that first. Come back down here and this is just like if you've ever done an alternator belt. It's the same exact thing. We're gonna make sure we loop the belt underneath the idler pulley onto the motor. This was what took me so long to figure out. Not really long, but it was the hardest thing to figure out watching YouTube videos. I didn't really understand it because they didn't go into depth. But anyway, and then come back up here to the belt, make sure that it's on. That's why we marked it, because we're gonna put it back on the same exact spot. It has a marking where it was on before. Anyway, see these 2 little tabs on both sides? Those go into these little slots, and then the bulkhead just kind of hangs onto the cabinet. It makes it a lot easier. But if you reach inside, again, like I said, it's just like taking it off. Reach inside, push up on the drum, and then you can get the rollers that are on the bulkhead to kind of line up with the drum. And then give it a couple spins after you've got it all in, before you tighten it down. And make sure you put connect your moisture sensor back again. Put all 5 screws back in, put all the wiring back where it was. So at this point, like I said, I'm just talking. I don't really know. We're going to put it back together like we took it apart. If you have any questions, rewind the video. But you can go to rrappliances.com, rr-appliances.com if you have any questions. I don't see comments a lot. I have a lot of social media platforms. I don't get to all of them. So if you have any questions, just email me from my website and I will definitely respond. But anyway, I hope this helps. You don't have to replace your lint filter screen, housing, whatever. It just needs cleaned out. See how it's all level and good? We're good to go. If you want to see more videos about home appliance repair, I'm Derek with 2Rs_official on TikTok and Derek Dennis on Facebook. I'm also on Instagram, Derek with 2Rs.